All right, so my guest today is Ben Lesnick. Ben, thanks for being here with me today and agreeing to do this interview.
Oh, no, thank you for coming all the way here to talk to me. I mean,
yeah, it's great. It was a long trip, but totally worth it.
I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for CIG.
All right, well, my name's Ben Lesnick. I'm community manager and designer for Star Citizen. I was one of our very first employees, kind of putting together the pitch with Chris, the initial campaign, and I've just been with the project ever since. So I've been involved in kind of every aspect of Star Citizen at some point or another, from designing ships to running the forums, doing the text for basically every update you see at the website, writing a lot of the lore, pretty much a little bit of everything.
So you actually write some of the lore?
Oh, yeah.
Which stuff is the stuff that you've done?
Well, let's see. Pretty much any of the stuff during the campaign, the different system descriptions. I do 2 pieces every week or every month for Jump Point. And I'll kind of just have a hand in everything. I mean, yeah, it's a collaborative process. Dave Haddock does more writing than you can possibly imagine, but I get some in there too.
Yeah. Well, I love all the lore stuff that's come out so far, so that's awesome.
It's a cool universe. So.
Yeah, it is really. Tell us a little bit about what you did with Wing Commander CIC.
So for almost 20 years at this point, I've run
Wow.
the Wing Commander community. I started in 1995, so yeah, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Started basically we were the official Wing Commander community, and that's how I got to know Chris and everybody else in the development team over the years, and we stayed in touch. And whenever he wanted to try to bring Wing Commander back or Space Sims back, I kind of offered my help, and finally had a project that happened.
You said something about realizing your dream with the Star-Lord manual?
Oh, Star Soldier, yeah, for Wing Commander Arena,
Yeah.
which was an Xbox Live Arcade game that came out in 2007. For whatever reason, Electronic Arts decided they wanted to do a top-down shooter space game. Apparently they were very big in Japan the previous year, and EA said, oh, we're going to cash in on that.
Yeah.
And the producer they assigned it to, a guy named Sean Penny, he happened to be a Wing Commander fan, and he said, can we please do, this is a Wing Commander game. Can we please do this a Wing Commander game? I love Wing Commander. I want to bring back that universe. And so they relented and said, sure, it can be Wing Commander. And the result was a highly controversial top-down shooter version of Wing Commander, an arcade game. It's a fun little game. And I got involved in that, kind of writing some of the background lore. They brought me up to EA Burnaby, and I would write little ship descriptions that would appear in the game and kind of play test it just as a Wing Commander fan. And at one point I said, okay, what can I do the manual for? We'll do a PDF of the manual, just like they used to have Claw Marks, Victory Streak, the old Wing Commander manuals that took you into the universe. And they said, sure, whatever. Do whatever you want, and if we like it, we'll use it. And they really, really liked it. Ended up printing like 10,000 of them to give out to the press, which must have cost them more money than the game actually made. So it's rare for a downloadable game to have a physical manual, but right. It was very cool writing an actual Wing Commander manual like David Ladyman did back in the day. Mm-hmm. And making that even more cool, I actually work with David Ladyman pretty much every day on similar stuff now, so it's come full circle.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. It was so long ago, and now it's just I remember when I was a kid, I loved instruction manuals. They don't do that anymore, you know. Even a Nintendo game or something used to come with an instruction manual. If it was an RPG, it had the characters' names with details about those characters, and sneak those to school and everything else. Yeah,
and Origin was always the best, because you'd get, like, with Wing Commander 1, it was Claw Marks, it was the onboard magazine for the ship, and you get blueprints of the fighters you would fly, and for Ultima you get like a little leather-bound spell book.
Right.
They were awesome at that.
I missed that, so I guess we're going to have something like that for Star Citizen.
Absolutely, you'll be seeing plenty of in-universe goodies like that for Star Citizen.
Awesome. You're a big community guy, obviously. I mean, I think do you consider that to be your #1 thing right now, or are you
it's certainly
sort of passing the torch?
No, it's certainly still my most important job, because I mean, Star Citizen is the rare game that kind of relies on its community entirely at this point. Even if we were publisher funded, we would be working in darkness for 4 years, and you'd hear we had an alpha when it was time to announce. But with Star Citizen, we need our community support through every step. So it's very important to just have everybody on board, make sure they understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, just to keep them as part of the process. So,
what does the community mean to you specifically?
I mean, it's And Star Citizen is just, it's this group that's just giving us the power to make this game that's not like anything else anybody's ever been able to do. It gives Chris this creative freedom that he's never had before. I mean, nobody's saying you have to publish, you have to publish, you have to hit this requirement and so on. It's the thing that makes Star Citizen so different. There's going to be effects that will make Star Citizen a different game in practice, but the community is the core that's allowing it to be different.
It's different. It feels like when I was younger and games came out and they had real communities around them. So
yeah, and it's an incredible group of people that we've kind of pulled together. Just they get it, and they have a buy-in to the project, and it's just awesome. The things they come up with and the ways they affect our development.
Yeah. The community that you had with the Wing Commander CIC, have they transferred over?
To a degree. I mean, part of kind of my initial idea for the Star Citizen community was we would bring in the old Wing Commander fans. They would be the guys who knew Chris Roberts, knew why a space sim mattered, knew how much fun this could be. Because newer gamers, they know Call of Duty, they know League of Legends. For whatever reason, the idea of being Han Solo or being Luke Skywalker, it's not in their heads anymore. So yeah. We figured we could build off of this group of people who got it, and they're older, more mature gamers, so they kind of they aren't as well. You know how gaming communities these days can be. Just look at any group of YouTube comments.
Right, exactly.
So we kind of wanted that very mature base group, and we certainly got that from Wing Commander freelancer fans who are familiar with Chris Roberts. I would say that a lot of the hardcore Wing Commander fans maybe didn't follow over. I mean, they just love that universe so much and they don't want to leave it. Yeah. So there's kind of a debate there that's kind of ongoing.
Yeah. In the Meet the Ben Lesnick post, you said that they never got it about what made Wing Commander so good, referring to EA.
Oh yeah,
what is it that you're talking about that they didn't get?
EA has just a strange relationship with Wing Commander in general. They didn't want Chris Roberts working on it. They only want Chris Roberts working on it. They wanted to spend as much money as possible on video, and then they didn't want to spend any money on video. It was just a constant conflict in their heads. They never had any idea what was selling copies of Wing Commander, but they didn't get that they had a franchise on their hand, that they could have had the next Star Wars or Star Trek, that they had this universe they could build on. They didn't get what made Wing Commander fun. I mean, they looked at Wing Commander 3 and said, oh, it's got the guy from Star Wars. That's what makes games great. Let's put full motion video in 50 different games. But it was the whole experience. It was the Chris Roberts putting you into a universe, seeing your hand move on the stick, seeing your ship actually take damage while you were flying around, being able to look right and left, and it all functioning seamlessly. They never understood that it was that whole package.
Do you think that Star Citizen is going to deliver that same feeling like we had back then?
Absolutely. I mean, from what I've seen of Star Citizen already, it's got that living, breathing universe, and we know how to do it. We know that you want to hear all sorts of stories in the universe, you want to be part of it, you want to evolve it, you want to live in the universe, you don't want this kind of single adventure every 4 years. And just the viscerality, the immersion, I know those are buzzwords we throw on constantly, but it is so cool to look around your cockpit in a VR headset. It's definitely what Chris Roberts always wanted to do, and now he can.
So we're talking about the space sim genre. I noticed you'd also made a comment about people thinking that it was dead and there was nowhere we could go with it. So what do you think about the revitalization of the space sim genre with all these games that are starting to come out now?
I'm very glad to see it happening. I hope that they don't suck, basically. Yeah. One of the problems back in the 1990s was you would have Wing Commander, and there would be Wing Commander 3, and it was this amazing $4 million game like nothing everyone had ever seen, and then 10 companies would make their own cheaper knockoff of it, and they wouldn't innovate in any way. It always took Chris Roberts to do the next installation of Wing Commander that would change the space sim genre. And when he stopped doing that, it just kind of fell off. You didn't have anybody who was looking to it for reference. So hopefully we've got designers today who get that, who are going to take space games in all sorts of new directions.
Have you, I heard you say you backed Elite.
Elite, yeah, I mean that's the grandfather of space games. Right. It leads directly to Privateer. I think a lot of people at Cloud Imperium have backed it. We certainly want to see what we're competing with, but we also really believe in this kind of game.
Right. What do you think about it? Have you get to play it at all? Or?
I actually have not played the alpha. I paid the $125, whatever it is that gets you the alpha. I downloaded it and I just have not had time.
Are there any other space sim genre games you've heard of that you're interested in?
I I haven't played anything else recent. I mean, I grew up loving X-Wing, TIE Fighter, all those, Tachyon, Chris's other games, Starlancer, Freelancer. So I certainly love space games. I actually haven't done much modern gaming at all recently. So,
yeah. I heard you mention something about playing through BioShock Infinite. Did you ever get through it?
I never did. It's been the game in my Xbox for the last year or so.
It's very overwhelming sometimes, those games these days. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, I love BioShock. I enjoyed BioShock 2, and I was so excited about it, and I just haven't had time to sit down and have like a whole weekend where I play it. It's just
right.
I think in that time I've moved twice and
right.
launched several gaming modules. And
yeah, it's been very busy. Yeah. Do you what do you do your gaming on mostly when you do have time? PC, console?
PC, well, both really. I mean, I'm a big fan of kind of retro gaming. I build old PCs. I kind of spiff off old consoles. For Wing Commander, I mean, I'm a huge Wing Commander fan still. My dream is to kind of build this set of computers that are the perfect Wing Commander computer. So I want like the old MIDI cards. I actually have recently got it's called a Forte VFX1 helmet. It's kind of the ancient ancestor of the Oculus. It's this giant 1990s helmet, and I knew Origin supported it for like Wings of Glory, which was their great World War I flying game, and you could actually look around, and it was the virtual cockpit Chris developed for Strike Commander. But then I saw, oh wait, you can actually play it in Wing Commander 3. It doesn't actually do anything, but it technically supports Wing Commander 3, so I have an excuse to buy this and have a VR helmet on a little stand in my office.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I've contemplated building a cockpit out of cardboard just to play Star Citizen.
If my wife lets me, I will get there.
Yeah. What would the alter ego of Ben Lesnick be doing on a typical day in the Star Citizen universe?
You know, everybody talks about piracy, and they say, oh, Ben, you're going to be a pirate. I have never been able to do that in these games. I remember Privateer, there were a couple missions where it would force you to run drugs and fight the Confederation. You'd have to like shoot down broadswords, the Confederation bombers, and I could not do it. I had to run from them and skip out the mission, because those were the guys I was in the other Wing Commander game. I don't want to break the law, so I'm sure I will be an explorer or just something that lets me kind of see the grandeur of space. I'm
kind of with you on that. I can never play the evil route in games. I don't know why. I have a difficult time doing it. It's something I physically can't do.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember for Mass Effect, there's an achievement for it on the Xbox, so I kind of forced my way through it, and it felt awful the whole time. I deleted all my saves after that. I want no record of the fact that I did this. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. So I have a question about some lore stuff.
Oh, sure.
The Kurthak. Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. That is an Eric Peterson concept, and I think no one but he knows what it is at this point.
So, is it a thing that's going to happen?
Yes.
Okay. But at release, Persistent Universe release,
there will be at least hints out there.
Okay.
That we will follow up on.
Because it was mentioned in a system update where we get an update about a system, and I'm guessing maybe you wrote that.
Yeah. I think we all kind of came up with the idea of having another race that we're going to have out there. I can't give too many details about that at this point, but Eric named them. I think it's a reference to something he did in Conquest, which was his space RTS game. So look there for clues, maybe.
Yeah, okay. That was actually one from Reddit that somebody wanted to know, and I had seen that before, but it's so long ago when that was posted, I completely forgot about it.
Well, it's great that people zoom in on these things in Star Citizen that, yes, we have thought out, but we didn't really expect people to notice them yet, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, man, people are just fiending for that information. Anything they can find.
They love our world, and it's very cool.
So we have a few questions about the actual game.
All right.
We have some skill-based dogfighting coming out. All right, people are going to be able to play that. What do we have coming out for the people who aren't necessarily interested in skill-based fighting? What's in the alpha pipeline for explorers and pub hanger-outers and all of these kind of people?
Well, we do have a PlanetSide module coming up. I can't give many details about that, but by the time people see this, Chris will have probably talked about it a little bit at the presentation for dogfighting.
Right.
So basically, you're kind of going to see Star Citizen come together in parts. I can't announce specific parts yet, but we were definitely talking about how can we have like a module that will show off something for miners, show off something for explorers, to show our mechanic without doing the whole thing yet. I mean, as dogfighting goes forward, you're going to see us add multi-crewed ships, and it's going to connect in with connecting with the jump system, the planet side, everything's going to come together into one ball of star system, and in that process we'll have smaller milestones where we say, okay, here's the mining mechanic, it goes in there somewhere. Right. But the actual roadmap is not for me to announce yet.
Right. So as far as the, this is one that I get a lot. People ask me all the time. People that in a multi-crew ship, what are they going to actually do? Like we always hear, there's an engineer. There could be a guy running webs. We know what a guy does in a turret. Mm-hmm. But what does a guy do at another thing? Does he sit at a console and play a mini game, or what does he do exactly?
Chris is not a big fan of mini games, so we're kind of trying to find actual immersive things for everybody to do. An engineer is actually going to have to be called upon. There's going to be repair mechanics, so. Mm-hmm. If your engine room is sparking and things are flying everywhere, you can actually go back and repair it during flight to keep your ship flying while someone else is.
So it's going to be a physical thing that you actually do. So
if
you want to repair something, you'll have to have a tool or something, and you'll actually repair it.
You have to run back to whatever part of the ship is damaged, and there's going to be external stuff too. You'll have to. You'll see more of that in the future.
Right. So we're talking like. Probably UVA stuff.
Yeah,
he's already mentioned some of that UVA stuff. Yeah. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. That's scary as well because as realistic as this universe is, just sitting in the Aurora, for example, and having a glass floor underneath you and thinking about floating in the darkness of space, it's kind of freaky in a game that's so realistic.
Wait till you see it in an Oculus Rift. It's something.
So tell me a story about your first gaming experience as a child.
Well, my first gaming experience was actually with multi-crew ships. It was a game called Space Vikings for the Apple II, and my dad would fly the ship, and he would have my brothers be the crew, and we'd stand around telling him what to do. So it's been playing space games since the very beginning.
That's amazing. I grew up on a farm. We didn't have computers. I bought my first computer as a 286 when I was 14 after farming watermelons for 8 months to do it. So I run a community, and it's a real important thing to me. You're a big community guy, of course. Do you have, what kind of a personal connection do you have to your community?
I love getting to know so many characters. And they've all kind of taken lives of their own. I mean, everybody knows Wolf and Zane and just all these people who kind of distinguish themselves as just outstanding community members, and it's just very cool to really interact with them every day. I remember, back in the day, Origin guys would occasionally come on my IRC server, and it would be the biggest thing in the world that they would actually come and talk to us. And that's the experience I want to get across now. That not just me, but everybody in our company are regular guys. They're into this game, and they want to be part of the community. They want to come and talk to everybody. That's why we have the live chat, the Ask a Dev. It's just that's staying involved constantly, or as much as we possibly can. It's one of our big tenets in community.
That's great. As far as the community does go, do you have any stories about any kind of personal interactions or cool things that happen that you could divulge?
My favorite little story of the community is, well, my favorite big story is going to Germany and for Gamescom for the Hangar Reveal. The videos don't do it justice. It was just this electric atmosphere. We were just treated like rock stars, and we had no idea what. We didn't think we deserved anything like that, but 1,000 people shouting for Ben and Eric and Chris, and it was really cool. But I think my favorite moment in all that was during the big Gamescom release party. This guy took me aside, and he was just like this. He must have been in his late 60s, and I've never played a video game before, but I backed Star System because it's really important what you're doing for the future of art. And I was like, that's so cool. Wow. This is not. It was just this connection I didn't expect we would ever actually make with outside of gaming, bringing people into our community, and I want to do more of that. I just want to kind of get across to people that we're genuine, we really believe in this, and we want people from all over the world. We don't just want Call of Duty players. We want a whole world worth of people to inhabit our world.
That's great, and Chris has talked a lot about world building, and that's an important thing. It gives everybody something to do, which is great. So as far as the dogfighting module coming out and the community, what do you think that only having right now just a skill-based dogfighting module with a point system kind of and some ranking, that has been talked about, what do you think that's going to do to the community? Do you think it's going to bring them together more? Do you think we're going to get elitist players that kind of
I think we'll get both. In fact, one of the things Chris is going to stress in his speech tonight is that this is a tiny part of Star Citizen. This PvP stuff, it's to let people into kind of the mechanics of the game, but it's not the game world itself. In fact, we've been putting together his slides for the presentation today, and that is one of the big points. This is not PvP is not the whole game. This is a starting place so you can see how the game works, and it's going to be so much more. There's going to be stuff for explorers and traders and people who are never going to fire a shot in our universe.
Awesome. I think that's great for people to know, because there's a lot of people that are actually worried about the game being too skill-based, PvP focused, even though that's part of it.
Yeah, we get worried about that too. I mean, we talk about we're doing this dogfighting module. When it's ready, when it's polished and cool, it's going to be amazing. It could be League of Legends, but it's not the finished game we want to have. It's the first brick, and we definitely want to get across that there's a lot more bricks to come.
Right. Hopefully not the League of Legends community. I don't think that would happen with Star Citizen, though. The community is awesome so far. Yeah. And one more thing about community. What do you think about the subreddit? Do you read it?
I do, yeah. Yep.
Do you participate at all in it?
I have
Under
not
a secret moniker or anything?
No, I have not posted. I may have posted once or twice, but I mostly lurk on the Reddit.
You said you do other things, of course, other than community at Star Citizen. I think most people kind of know you for the community stuff because you do the MVP every week. You've been on the question and answer portion. And, tell me a little bit about, give me one specific job that you do that's something more technical related or something idea related. Kind of
involved in a lot of the initial ships are my concepts. We're working with Chris and Dave. There's a lot of me in the kind of the basis of Star Citizen. I can tell you what I'm working on right now is the cargo revamp. One of the original things we did, we needed a trading mechanic, and the different ships would have different amounts of cargo. So we said, okay, the Aurora has 5 tons, and the 309 is a little bit better, so it has 8 tons, and the Constellation is a big transport, so it has 20 tons. And there were a couple issues with that. One is, of course, that's not how you measure cargo in space. Right. It doesn't make sense physically. Right. And 2, that didn't actually mesh up with the ship models we come up with. And since Star Citizen treats cargo as actual objects, we're going to have to figure out how to unload them, unload them, figure out how they go in the ship, all sorts of things like that. So I'm kind of taking the charge right now on going back to our ships, figuring out what the actual cargo capacity is, and why that matters. So, if you look at the 300, there's no way it has more cargo than an Aurora. Right. So why would you want a 300 instead of an Aurora? And we're coming up with mechanics that explain that, right. Which will be revealed very shortly. And we're coming up with a way that we measure cargo going forward, which actually lets us put all of our in-game objects into the cargo boxes, and it's all going to make sense within the physics of the universe. That's a very cool project. Awesome. If you can tell us, as far as cargo goes, let's say you have a box, it's a physical object. Mm-hmm. Does it also have physical objects inside it? It does, yeah. Okay. In fact, that was one of the discussions I had just on Friday. So if we're going down to kind of a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter cube for the cargo, is that measuring the box that the cargo is in? What impact does it have on the inside of the box? This is actually, cargo capacity is actually smaller because you have to take into account the 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch exterior of the box, and that all goes into the game design doc. So in a hangar, let's say we're loading or unloading something, are we going to have an actual device that does that? Is it going to be an arm? Is it going to be people, NPCs? A lot of this is up in the air, but probably it's going to be auto-loaded, but in a way that you see it happen. Okay. We're also talking about ways that you can rearrange the cargo. So when I go in and measure out what goes where on the Freelancer, it leaves it kind of a maximum safe cargo. So you have a path to go from the front of the Freelancer to the back with the cargo on the side. And theoretically, if somebody wanted to absolutely stuff their Freelancer with things, they could maybe go over that and just block their access to the turret. Right. So we want to give players that option. So how would that affect boarding? If you stuffed it to the gills, no one can get in? Have to cut your way through the cargo. So hey, that may be an extra defensive measure. Just stock it full of cargo. So what's next in the pipeline for you after the cargo thing? Do you have anything else on the horizon? It kind of varies day to day. Yeah. We'll see what happens when I get back to LA on Monday. Yeah. I'm sure there will be something else. Yeah. So how are you liking it in LA? Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I loved Austin. I went to school in Austin. I was really excited to go back. My wife didn't love it that much, but she loves Santa Monica, and I I like it a lot too, and it's very comfortable. It's a great place to live.
My wife's from California, so but I've lived in Texas all my life, so except for some military things here and there. But it was great, man. It was good to meet you and everything.
Very much appreciate you interviewing me.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again later on down the line sometime.
Absolutely, anytime.